see how many minutes it takes. All right. Let it warm up a little bit. Hello, everyone. It is the 1st of April, so I hope you all had a really great Easter. Today we got in a large order of books, so I'm going to be doing yet another unboxing to kind of show what we got here at the library. So yes, all of these will be added to our collection very soon. It takes about a couple weeks for it to get processed, and then they'll be on the shelves for you guys, so keep an eye out for some of these items. First, we have a small shipment of DVDs that we're getting. So this is the first one. This is Pokemon the Movie 2000 and Pokemon Tales of Lugia. So it is 2 movies in one. You have Pokemon 2000 and then Pokemon Tales of Lugia. In the Orange Islands, far south of Kanto, a trainer named Lawrence is on a sinister quest, catching the legendary Pokemon Arcuno, Zapdos, and Moltres in an attempt to awaken Lugia, Guardian of the Sea. And then the Pokemon, I think it's 2000 movie, a young athlete whose running days might be behind her, a compulsive liar, a shy researcher, a bitter old hag, or a bitter old woman, and a little girl with a big secret. The only thing they have in common is the annual Wind Festival in Fula City. So if you're a Pokemon fan, we're finally getting some of the Pokemon movies. Again, it'll take a couple weeks for it to get processed. Next, we have the Resident Evil Death Island. So, in San Francisco, Jill Valentine is dealing with a zombie outbreak and a new T-virus. Leon Kennedy is on trial of the kidnapped DARPA scientist, and Claire Redfield is investigating a monstrous fish that is killing whales in the bay. Joined by Chris Redfield and Rebecca Chambers, they discover the trail of clues from their separate cases. All converge on the same location, Alcatraz Island, where a new evil has taken residence and awaits their arrival. So this is going to be one of the new movies that comes to the library, Resident Evil Death Island. And one last movie in this smaller box, we have The Independent. So during the final stretch of a polarizing political election, a promising and driven investigative journalist stumbles upon a life-altering lead. Determined to dig up the truth, Eli, Jodie Turner-Smith, risks losing everything in the wake of shocking revelations that will shatter reputations, test her integrity, and ultimately change the course of history. So we have this movie coming, we have Resident Evil coming, and then we have 2-in-1 Pokemon movies coming. So be on the lookout for all 3 of those. They'll be in our new movie section. So that's the first box. Next, I have a large box of books beneath me. So I'm just going to start with the top. Catch Penny by Charlie Huston. A thief who travels through mirrors in search of magical curiosities, a video game that threatens to spill out of the virtual world, a doomsday cult on the collision course with destiny, and a missing teenager at the center of it all. With the world on the brink of every kind of apocalypse, humanity needs a hero. What it gets is Sid Catchpenny. So this is a paperback work of fiction. It's called Catchpenny by Charlie Huston. Gina Chung says that it's gripping and deeply imaginative. So, Catchpenny, first book on in our unboxing. Next, we have Wedding Issues by Ellie Evans. Or I should say Elle Evans, sorry. RSVP to this delicious debut, Elle Evans reveals truths about friendship, ambition, and heady intoxication of a crush. That was a review by Avery Carpenter Forey, author of Social Engagement. Competition for a bridal magazine cover unleashes mayhem, forcing a mastermind maid of honor to stop being a people pleaser and start figuring out what she wants in life. So this is a hardback of Wedding Issues by Elle Evans. Could be Ellie Evans, depending on how she pronounces her name. Yet another, it looks like kind of romance type work. Only Love Can Hurt Like This by Paige Toon. An unforgettable love story with an earth-shattering secret at its core that asks the question, is love worth risking everything for? When Ren realizes her fiancé is in love with someone else, she thinks her heart will never recover. On the other side of the world, Anders lost his wife 4 years ago and is still struggling to move on. Ren hopes that spending the summer with her dad and step-family on their farm in Indiana will help her heal. There, amid the cornfields and fireflies, she and Anders cross paths and their worlds are turned upside down again. So this is actually stationed in Indiana, which is kind of cool. You don't see a lot of books that talk about us. But this is Only Love Can Hurt Like This by Paige Toon. Next, we have How to Plot a Payback. This is by Melissa Ferguson, a best-selling author. He crossed an ocean, and it still wasn't enough to escape his lifelong nemesis. Now, he has to work with her. Successful screenwriter Finn Masters just landed his dream job writing for Neighbors, one of Hollywood's highest-rated, longest-running sitcoms. The only downside, it will put him back in proximity of the show's universally adored, optimistic, altruistic star, Lavender Rhodes, who has been inadvertently ruining his life since they were school chums in England. But she doesn't even know she destroyed his acting career and wrecked his relationship with the love of his life. How to Plot a Payback by Melissa Ferguson. Next, we have a large print, it looks like. This is John Sanford's Toxic Prey. This is a Lucas and Letty Davenport novel. So if you've been following the Davenport series, this is one of the many. I don't know. Let's see if it has kind of like a list of all of the books in the series. 'Cause off the top of my head, I don't know which one this is, or which installment it is. I guess if you're following along, hopefully you know which one it is. But this one is Toxic Prey by John Sanders, large print edition. Gaia is dying. That at least is what Dr. Lyon Scott believes. A renowned expert in tropical and infectious diseases, Scott has witnessed the devastating impact of illness and turmoil at critical scale. Society as it exists is untenable, and direct link to Earth's death spiral, population levels are out of control and people have allowed disarray and disorder to run rampant. While most are concerned about deadly disease, Scott knows that it is truly humanity itself that will destroy Gaia. It's only removing the threat that the planet can continue to prosper, and luckily, Scott is just the right man to do the job. Alright, so that's John Sanford's Toxic Prey. Next, we have Hell Put to Shame. The 1921 murder, farm massacre, and the horror of America's second slavery. This is by Earl Swift. So, Hell Put to Shame. And I wish it was, the camera was inverted, but it's not. From the acclaimed New York Times bestselling author comes a gripping new work of narrative nonfiction telling the forgotten story of the mass killing of 11 black farmhands on a Georgia plantation in the spring of 1921, a crime that exposed for the nation the existence of peonage. Ugh, I cannot read today. A form of slavery that gained prominence across the America South after the Civil War. So if you are interested in history, this may be the book for you. It's Hell Put to Shame, and it is about the 1921 farm massacre that happened in the spring of 1921. This cover looks interesting, so I grabbed it. It is called American Spirits by Russell Banks. There's a lot of praise for it on the back. Oh my goodness. From one of America's most celebrated storytellers come 3 dark, interlocking tales about the residents of a rural New York town and the shocking headlines that became their local mythologies. A husband sells property to a mysterious, temperamental stranger and is hounded on social media when he publicly questions the man's character. A couple grows concerned when an enigmatic family moves in next door and the children start sneaking over to beg for help. Two dangerous criminals kidnap an elderly couple and begin blackmailing their grandson, demanding that he pay back what he owes. Suspenseful, thrilling, and expertly crafted, American Spirits explores the hostile undercurrents of the communities and American politics at large, as well as the ways local tragedies can be both devastating and somehow everyday. So this is American Spirits by Russell Banks. Again, all of these books will be coming to the library. It just takes a little while for them to get, for them to be cataloged and all of that stuff. So couple weeks and these should be on our shelves. This one is called Sandcastle Inn. It is a Hope Harbor novel. I cannot speak today. By Irene Hannon. Family is complicated, but true love doesn't have to be. Vienna Price never intended to return for more than a passing visit to Hope Harbor and all the bad memories she'd left behind. But when your career tanks, home is where you go to nurse your wounds and chart a new course. Only temporarily, of course, because as much as she loves her quirky mom, anything more than a short stay would drive them both crazy. So this is Sandcastle Inn, a Hope Harbor novel by Irene Hannon. This one is another nonfiction. It's called Parenting Under Fire. How to Communicate with Your Hurt, Angry, Rejecting, Distant Child by Amy J. L. Baker and Paul R. Fine. Teaches parents of children of all ages who are hurt, angry, rejecting, and distant how to effectively and empathically communicate through a variety of strategies. Children who are hurt, angry, rejecting, and distant, or as they say, hard, can be challenging to parent. They can be rude, uncooperative, and disagreeable. They are hard to relate to or connect with, and they can appear hardened against the love and guidance of their parents. Whether hard children are caught in a loyalty conflict, are victims of parental alienation, or are behaving this way for some other reason, their parents need help. So this is Parents Under Fire. Okay. This one is a novel by Christian Perrin, How to Solve Your Own Murder. How to Solve Your Own Murder is a masterclass in the art of mystery, says Ellie Cosmano. Ellie Griffiths says, I loved it. Warm, clever, and wildly original. Frances Adams always said she'd be murdered. She was right. It's 1965. I flip-flop those. And teenager Frances Adams is at an English country fair with her two best friends. But Frances's life takes a hairpin turn when a fortune teller makes a bone-chilling prediction. One day, Frances will be murdered. So this is How to Solve Your Own Murder. We have A Short Walk Through a Wide World, a novel by Douglas Westerbeek. A dazzling epic novel that charts the incredible, adventurous life of one woman as she journeys the globe, trying to outrun a mysterious curse that will destroy her if she ever stops moving. A Short Walk Through a Wide World. Next, we have another nonfiction. It is the story of the Murdaugh family of South Carolina and a century of backwoods power. It's called Swamp Kings. The stranger-than-fiction story of the now notorious Low County Clan in all its Southern Gothic intensity, by an author with unparalleled access to and knowledge of the players, the history, and the place. The most famous man in South Carolina lives in prison. He stands convicted of a staggering amount of wrongdoing, more than a dozen crimes and counting. Once a high-flying, smooth-talking, pedigreed South lawyer, Alex Murdaugh, is now disbarred and disgraced. For more than a decade, prosecutors asserted that Alex was secretly a fraud, a thief, a drug trafficker, and an all-around phony. On the night of June 7th, 2021, they claimed he had also become a killer, shooting dead his wife and son in desperate bid to escape accountability. So this is all about the Murdaugh family, Swamp Kings. All right. A book that will shake your soul out. That is a review by Sting. This is American Mother. A story of love, loss, and transformative power of empathy. It's by Colum McCann with Diane Foley. American Mother is a heart-rending story of Diane Foley, who, in the course of confronting her son's killer, braves her way into the elemental heart of violence and forgiveness. 7 years after her son Jim, a freelance journalist, was captured and killed by ISIS in 2014, a brutal act that produced one of 21st century's most haunting images, Diane is offered the opportunity to meet her son's murderer over 3 days in a Virginia courthouse. What unfolds is one of the most compelling narratives in recent literary history, reminiscent of Truman Capote's In Cold Blood and Joan Didion's The Year of Magical Thinking. So, American Mother. Right. USA Today said that a beautiful mind takes a life and death road trip in this battle of wits, maze of psychological suspense, and heartbreaking family drama. This is The Father She Went to Find by Carter Wilson, who also wrote, trying to find it. So this is by Carter Wilson, The Father She Went to Find, a road trip to find closure, or a reckless chase that could turn deadly. Penny has never met anyone smarter than her. That's par for the course when you're a savant, one of fewer than 100 in the world. But despite her photographic memory and superpowered intellect, there's one mystery Penny's never been able to solve. Why did her father leave when she was in a coma at age 7, and where is he now? So, The Father She Went to Find. Okay, this one is called Sleeping Giants by Renee Denfeld. From the best-selling author of The Child Finder and The Enchanted, a compelling and poignant story of sibling bonds, monsters masquerading as caretakers, terrifying secrets, and the power of love to right even the most egregious wrongs. This is Sleeping Giants. Another nonfiction. This is Where Should We Camp Next? Budget Camping. So, a 50-state guide to budget-friendly campgrounds and free and low-cost outdoor activities by Stephanie and Jeremy Puglisi. So, the essential planning guidebook for anyone searching for fun, memorable travel destinations on a budget. So, it includes things like state parks, national forests and national parks, Army Corps of Engineer campgrounds, money-saving organizations like Harvest Hosts, and affordable family campgrounds and more. So if you like camping, we have a book on how to do it on a budget. Next we have The Paleontologist. This is by Luc Dumas. A haunted paleontologist returns to the museum where his sister was abducted years earlier and is faced with a terrifying and murderous spirit in this chilling novel. So The Paleontologist, I'm gonna guess, horror type thriller. The Happiness Blueprints by Ali Zetterberg. Clara and Alex are having trouble connecting, but at least their calendars are in sync. Clara, who's always thought of herself as a little different, a sneaker in a world full of kitten heels and polished boots, is feeling a disconnect these days. She has type 1 diabetes, a stable but boring job, and is in need of a desperate change. When her dad falls ill, Clara begrudgingly agrees to help run his small construction company while he recovers, even though it means moving back home and pushing the boundaries of her comfort zone to the extreme. Alex has been a shell of himself since his brother died in an accident. He's unemployed, has bills piling up, and is distant from friends and family. His therapist is encouraging him to keep things manageable by setting up a calendar, checking off tasks each day, and looking for work to help get him back on his feet. When an ad pops up for a carpenter position at a small construction company, he jumps at the chance to step forward. So this is The Happiness Blueprint by Ali Zetterberg. We got a couple more in this box. This is The Wives, a Memoir by Simone Gorindo. At 27, newly married and working her dream job as an editor in New York City, Simone Gorindo thought she had found the home and sense of belonging she'd always yearned for. Then, her husband joined an elite combat unit in the army. She quit her job to follow him to a town in Georgia, and 2 weeks later, he deployed to Afghanistan. Home had never felt so far away. So, this is The Wives, a memoir. I love the cover, by the way. It looks really nice. Right. This is another nonfiction, and I'm going to get rid of this real quick. Sorry for the loud noise. This is The Weight of Nature, How a Changing Climate Changes Our Brains. And I do really like this cover, because it kind of looks like a brain, and yeah. I'm a nerd. I know. A deeply reported, eye-opening book about climate change, our brains, and the weight of nature on all of us. So, The Weight of Nature, How a Changing Climate Changes Our Brains by Clayton Page Alderin. Another kind of romance novel we have here. Old Flames and New Fortunes. Fibs and squabbles and spells, oh my. A small magical town tucked away in rural Ohio, Moonville is the perfect place for Flora Fortunist, Romina Tempest, to use the language of flowers to help the hopeful manifest love in their lives. After giving up on her own big romance 11 years ago, at least she can bask in others' happily ever afters. So this is Old Flames and New Fortunes by Sarah Hogel. And the cover is really pretty. Alright. This is another nonfiction. It's A Scientist Explains What We Know and We Don't. UFOs by Robert Powell. Robert Powell is a founding board member of the Scientific Coalition for UAP Studies, CSCU. He was the director of research at MUFON from 2007 to 2017. So he's done a lot of work in the science field, and it's what we know and don't know about UFOs. So if that is of interest to you, we have a book on it. Got a couple more in this box. The Marriage Sabbatical by Leon Dolan. What if you could take a vacation from your marriage? A couple gives it a shot in this fun, adventurous novel by Leon Dolan, the popular author of The Sweeney Sisters and Lost and Found in Paris. So this is The Marriage Sabbatical by Leon Dolan. This is another Page Toon novel. We just had one. Where is it? Only Love Can Hurt Like This. So this is another one of her works. 5 years from now. But Page Toon. Nobody writes angst and joy and hope like Page Toon, says Christina Lauren. Nell and Van meet as children when their parents fall in love. They become best friends in each other's whole world. Then tragedy strikes and Van is sent to the other side of the globe. 5 years later, they find each other again, but they're no longer children and the bond between them smolders into flames. New feelings surprise them both. They are destined soulmates, and to an untimely discovery tears them apart again. 5 years from now, by Page Toon. James Bond is missing out and time is running out. This is Double or Nothing, a double novel by Kim Sherwood. James Bond is missing. 007 has been captured and perhaps killed by a sinister private military company. His whereabouts are unknown. Meet the new generation of spies. Joanna Harwood, 003, Joseph Dryden, 004, and Sid Bashir, 009. They represent the very best and brightest of the M16. Skilled, ruthless, and licensed to kill, they will do anything to protect their country. So this is Double or Nothing. It's kind of a James Bond novel. It looks like it has some new characters in it, so if you like anything James Bond, this book will be for you. This is Ghost Station by S.A. Barnes. Barnes became one of my favorite authors with Dead Silence, and this is a stunning follow-up. Highly recommend, by Darcy Coates. If you know, she does a lot of ghost stories and stuff like that are really popular. An abandoned planet, a hidden past, a deadly danger. Psychologist Dr. Ophelia Bray has dedicated her life to the study and prevention of Eckhart-Reser syndrome, ERS, the most famous case of which resulted in the brutal murders of 29 people. It's personal to her, and when she's assigned to a small exploration crew who recently suffered the tragic death of a colleague, she went to help. But as they begin to establish residency on an abandoned planet, it becomes clear that the crew is hiding something. So this is kind of a mystery sci-fi type thing. Ghost Station. And one more in this box before we move on to the next one. This is American Daughters by Piper Hughley. In the vein of America's First Daughter, Piper Hughley's historical novel delves into the remarkable friendship of Portia Washington and Alice Roosevelt, the daughters of educator Booker T. Washington and President Teddy Roosevelt. So this is a historical fiction, if you are interested in historical-like novels. All right. First box down, one more to go. If you're just tuning in, we're doing an unboxing. We're looking through new books that are coming to the library. Again, it takes about a couple weeks for them to get back on the shelf, but all of these books will be available soon. So We just went through our first box of books. You can see here quite a few. And I'm going to make some room. We just went through our first box of books, so you can always go back and watch through that. And now we're on to the next one. Everything But Myself, a memoir by Julie Chavez. For Julie, an elementary school librarian and mother of 2 boys, there is no time for debilitating anxiety. Yet the aftershocks of her first panic attack left her grappling with questions about the causes of her mental health crisis and where it would lead next. What follows is a hopeful, honest account of love and loss, a husband who isn't a mind reader, disastrous family outings, and finding a path, with help from loved ones and a few key new friends, to the joy of a well-lived life. So, Everyone But Myself, a memoir. Next we have Little Avalanches, another memoir by Becky Ellis. I really like this cover. Little Avalanches is a gorgeously written memoir of breathtaking scope that propels readers from the beaches of California in the early 70s to the battlefields of World War II. As a young girl, Becky is forced to hide from phantom Nazis, subject to dental procedures without pain medication, and torn from her mother again and again. Growing up in the shadow of her father's PTSD, she wants to know what is wrong, but knows not to ask. Little Avalanches. Alright, this is another nonfiction. It is called The Anger Myth, Understanding and Overcoming the Mental Habits That Steal Your Joy by Trish Roberts. So, are you feeling overwhelmed? In The Anger Myth, transformational coach and happiness expert Trish Ahel Roberts offers a step-by-step guide to creating the life you desire by changing negative mental habits. She shares her breakup, 5-step tame and reframe method to transform your anger and its 7 cranky cousins into either calm or constructive action. The Anger Myth. Right. This is a pirate novel, The Pirate King, The Strange Adventures of Henry Avery, and the Birth of the Golden Age of Piracy by Sean Kingsley and Rex Cohen. The incredible story of the Robin Hood of the seas who vanished with millions during the Golden Age of Piracy, and an even greater secret. So if you're into kind of like the history of pirates, we have The Pirate King coming soon. Alright. Another novel that we have, The Fellowship of Puzzle Makers by Samuel Burr. An extraordinary, glorious, uplifting novel about the power of friendship and the puzzling ties that bind us. Clayton Stumper is in his 20s, but he dresses like your grandpa and fusses like your aunt. Abandoned at birth on the steps of the Fellowship of Puzzle Makers, he was raised by a group of eccentric entomologists and now finds himself among the last survivors of the fading institution. So, the Fellowship of Puzzle Makers. Alright. We're getting through them all. So, I hope you guys are enjoying this and that you'll check out some of these books. Bless Your Heart by Lindy Ryan. I really like the art on this. Let's see. Everything You Could Want in a Horror Novel and More. Highly recommend by Gwendolyn Christie. That's a review by her. So, bless your heart. Rise and shine. The Evans women have some undead to kill. In 1999, in Southwest Texas, and the Evans women, owners of the only funeral parlor in town, are keeping steady with normal business. The dead die, you bury them. End of story. That's how Ducey Evans has done it for the last 80 years, and her progeny, Loren, the experimenter, and Grace, the Loren's soft-hearted daughter, have run Evan's funeral parlor for the last 15 years without drama, ever since the god-awful mess that left 2 bodies in the ground and Grace raising her infant daughter Luna alone. So, bless your heart, a horror novel. This one is a book called Nosy Neighbors. I really like this cover. By Freya Sampson. Nothing brings neighbors together like someone else's secrets. At Shelley House, the walls have ears, and they're attached to a ragtag duo of busybodies ready to pry, snoop, and generally annoy their neighbors into solving a crime. Nosy Neighbors. Let's see what else we've got down here. Okay. This is by Rebecca Surley. Expiration Dates. With a nice, pretty cover. Being single is like playing the lottery. There's always the chance that with one piece of paper you could win it all. Daphne Bell believes the universe has a plan for her. Every time she meets a new man, she receives a slip of paper with his name and number on it, the exact amount of time they will be together. The paper told her she'd spend 3 days with Martin in Paris, 5 weeks with Noah in San Francisco, and 3 months with Hugo, her ex-boyfriend turned best friend. Daphne has been receiving the numbered papers for over 20 years, always wondering when there might be one without an expiration. Finally, the night of a blind date at her favorite Los Angeles restaurant, there's only a name. Jake. So this is Expiration Dates. Right. This one is called The Lady He Lost by Faye Delacour. Friends to enemies to lovers, at its best, I loved every minute. Harper St. George, author of The Harris Gets a Duke. So, her only interest is in making her own way in the world. Luckily, he can help. Lieutenant Ellie Williams was supposed to be dead. In 2 years since his shipwreck, his family and friends mourned him. His brother spent his savings, and his fiancée married someone else. So when he turns up in the middle of London social season, he quickly becomes the talk of the town. All Eli wants is to set his life back in order and reconnect with Jane Bishop, a friend who has always meant so much more to him before returning to sea. So, The Lady He Lost. And I'm going to get a quick sip of water because I've been reading for a long time. This one is a nice, big, thick book with a really pretty cover. It is The Sweet Blue Distance by Sarah Donati. Power, gorgeous, vividly described by people on Into the Wilderness. So I'm guessing that's another book that this author did. In this epic tale of survival, redemption, and love, a young midwife travels west to the New Mexico territory to care for women in need and faces danger more harrowing than the one she's fleeing. So The Sweet Blue Distance. It's pretty thick, too. Next, we have Long Time Dead, A Cold Case, A Murdered Suspect, and a Silenced Witness by T.M. Payne. Driven by the unsolved and traumatic murder of her brother when they were children, D.I. Haller's pursuit of justice is relentless. As old wounds are reopened, the police close in on the killer, but the threat of them striking again is all too real. Long Time Dead by T.M. Payne. This one is called The Rush by Michelle Prack. You can't outrun the perfect storm. In this riveting psychological thriller, perfect for fans of Jane Harper's The Survivors and Erica Frenkick's Into the Jungle, a ferocious storm in the Australian outback sets the stage for betrayal and murder. The Rush. Right. I really like the art on this one. I'm just going to show you real quick before I tell you what it is. It's really pretty. It's called I Cheerfully Refuse by Leif Anger. Anger deserves to be mentioned alongside the likes of Richard Russo and Thomas McGuane, author of Peace Like a River. A heart-racing ballad of escape shot through with villainy and dignity, humor and music. Like Mark Twain, Anger gives us a full accounting of the human soul, scene by scene, wave by wave. That is a review by Josh Ritter. A storyteller of great humanity and huge heart, Leif Anger debuted in the literacy world with Peace Like a River, which sold more than 1 million copies and captured readers' hearts around the globe. Now comes a new milestone in this boldly imaginative author's body of work, set in a not-too-distant America. I Cheerfully Refuse is the tale of a bereaved and pursued musician embarking under sail of a sentient Lake Superior in search of his departed, deeply beloved, book-selling wife. I Cheerfully Refuse. Got a couple more books and then we'll be through. This is Rebel Rising, a memoir. Don't know why I said it like that. From the scene-stealing star of Pitch Perfect and Bridesmaids comes a refreshing, candid, hilarious, and inspiring book about her unconventional journey to Hollywood success and loving herself. A memoir by Rebel Wilson. Looks like we got a lot of good memoirs coming. This is Dawn Winslow, City in Ruins. The very sparkly cover. Okay. Following City on Fire and City of Dreams, City in Ruins is the explosive, impossible to put down conclusion to New York Times bestselling author Dawn Winslow's epic, genre-defining crime trilogy and the final book of Winslow's extraordinary career. So if you are a fan of Winslow, make sure you get this one. This one is Daughter of Mine by Megan Miranda. The exhilarating new thriller from Megan Miranda, master of mixed direction and sudden plot twists. The discovery of her first car was a shock. The second card was a pattern, a warning, and the key to a decades-old mystery that may be better left to the past. Mirror Lake, nestled in the mountains of North Carolina, is a beautiful waterfront community where neighbors know neighbors, family businesses are the norm, and the small-town way of life seems to go on year after year uninterrupted. When the long-serving detective dies suddenly, his daughter, Hazel Sharp, returns home after nearly 10 years away, wary of the place and people she's left behind. Daughter of Mine by Megan Miranda. We've got 3 more here. This one is The Fury by Alex, I think it's Michaelides? This is a tale of murder. Or maybe that's not quite true. At its heart, it's a love story, isn't it? Lana Farrar is a reclusive ex-movie star and one of the most famous women in the world. Every year, she invites her closest friends to escape to the English weather and spend Easter on her idyllic private Greek island. I tell you this because you may think you know the story. You probably read about it at the time. It caused a real stir in the tabloids, if you remember. It had all the necessary ingredients for the press sensation: a celebrity, a private island cut off by the wind, and a murder. The Fury by Alec Michaelides. 2 more books we have in our unboxing. This is What is Love by Jen Comfort. Rivals to lovers for 2 million. Answer: from the Latin word for crossroads, this is knowledge so common to be obscure, the pursuit of which emerges millions daily. Question: what is trivia? Trivia is the magic in the mundane, the connection in the commonplace, and Maxine Hart's second favorite pastime. A self-proclaimed Brooklyn street rat and a high school dropout, Maxine has never been a fan of formal education, but thanks to her ADHD superpowers, she has a glutton for knowledge and a good fight. And when Maxine enters the trivia game show Answers, her brilliance, coupled with her penchant for big bets, devastates her competition. Even record-holding 76-time winner Teddy Ferguson. So, What is Love by Jen Comfort. Our last book here in this unboxing is The Book of Cold Cases by Simone St. James. A true crime blogger gets more than she bargained for while interviewing the woman acquitted of 2 cold case slayings in this chilling novel from the New York Times bestselling author of Sundown Motel. In 1977, Clear Lake, Oregon, was shaken by the Lady Killer murders. 2 men, seemingly random, were murdered with the same gun, with strange notes left behind. Beth Greer was the perfect suspect, a rich, eccentric 23-year-old woman seen fleeing of one of the crime scenes, but she was acquitted and she retreated to the isolation of her mansion. So this is The Book of Cold Cases by Simone St. James. So all of these books, if you can see them all pretty well, are going to be added to our collection, along with the movies I showed at the beginning. I hope you guys enjoyed and that you'll come and check out some of these novels and movies, and we'll see you guys soon. Thanks for tuning in.